this is something I'm very much curious about, right? Because I think you've worked at USA also, in USA also,
Briefly,
in China
yes.
also, and now you're in India working, right? What's the difference between these three countries in their work culture and their personal, like a personal life and a professional life culture? So culturally, what's the difference between all these three? Like any one point, if you could just streamline it, if you have to pinpoint.
Okay, so in China, for example, I used to get 5 holidays per year.
500?
Just 5 holidays per year.
5 holidays, okay.
Per year. So the number of holidays that you get from the company are very less.
Okay.
Reason being that the national holidays, when they give like 2 major national holidays, are 1 week holidays, right?
Okay.
So the company will give you less holidays, but overall you will have like good time for yourself. Then in India,
Saturday is off out there or what?
no. So the work culture is very
Workaholic.
very workaholic. So it's called 996. I think popularly, if you've read on Chinese work culture, it's called 996.
What do you mean by
So that means you're working 9 to 9, 6 days a week. And sometimes mine was longer than 9 to 9 because I was also doing events. So
late nights?
Yeah, so I would go from my office to my events and then, just to sleep at home. And I would again start the same cycle. So mine was like a little bit more than 996. In US, there is a slight, again, they do give major holidays, like they're very like sacrosanct about Thanksgiving and about Christmas and year-end holidays and all of that. So I would say there is some sense of work-life balance, some sense. Right, but I don't think it's true across, because sometimes when you're on Wall Street or you're sometimes in very high level jobs or high pressure jobs, you can't always take those holidays. But yeah, in US also there's a concept of work-life balance, that you need to spend time with family, etc. I think the benefits are better in US. In China, it's okay. I was under Chinese law, so I mean Chinese labor laws, so they're decent, I would say, not that bad. In India, I see that people work a lot, but they're not compensated for it. At least in China, I was compensated for my overtime. In US also, there's that professionalism exists. That okay, someone is working for you, if someone is giving their time or extra time, then we need to compensate. In India, I don't see that. In India, everyone wants to take your time and your work for free. That respect for professionalism is not there, right? I think the growth aspect from a professional's point of view also gets messed up because of that, because your manager is not talking to you about your growth. They are
work on you.
Yes, they are only focused on what they can extract from you, what they can give you is not spoken about. I realized it like when I started working in India, and even when I had worked in media, but media I consider is like a very unorganized industry, like that. But in corporates in India also, that conversation about what we can do for you is not a common conversation. In China, in US, they had it like front, right, center, like, okay, so now that you're going to this other phase, like you're going to be a manager, what do you want to do? Like, what is your big goal? I had those conversations with my Chinese managers also and with my American colleagues also. Right? So, for example, when I used to work in US, people would have the commercials set day one. That, okay, you're going to be giving us time. So this is the paperwork for this. This is what it would be like. These are the terms. In India, never. Like, in India, they're like, first you work for us. Then we will see if your work is worth something and we will be the judge. And are you capable enough to judge? God knows. So that attitude.
There is no judge to judge your capability that you can judge.
Yeah. So that I saw in India, a lot of people think they know a lot more than they do. They think highly of themselves. Sometimes I feel But actually they're not that good, and also that whole professional setting wherein you pay people what they deserve, you are actually investing in them to grow them, that I've not seen.
I also feel that Indians, we do have little bit of trust issue when we are putting our work or we are giving our work to someone, and that is also one of the reason that comes into the picture. It might not come out as a very explicit reason, but probably subconsciously as a hiring person, as a company, as an
That's an interesting perspective. I want to know from you.
So
more.
I think that when you're trying to give your work to someone, allocate, because it's going off your chest, right? Then you're hiring someone new, probably a junior, a fresher, maybe some years of experience, etc. You don't trust that person immediately. The word trust issue is always there, I think, from my point of view, in Indians, where we would not immediately tell that okay, this guy will do it. He will manage it. She will manage it. Even if I'm not there, she'll look after this particular task. वो day one से नहीं आता. When in US, I feel that these guys are so professional also, and so I'm not getting that word, but they're so well crafted in their own things, and they have belief in their own self also, and they would put faith in that person whom they are hiring. That I think you will be able to do it, and that's why everything is clear, crisp and clear in paper. These are our terms. If we feel you can do it, so there is no hide and seek. There is no that okay, we'll give you 3 months. You see, if we like you, then only we'll give you so much and so on. So I think somewhere that subconsciously that trust issue happens.
I think I agree with you, and I think the reason for that is a little bit to do with just the professional work culture, professionalism that exists. But that why it exists is also, so in countries like US, for example, you are awarded if you do good work, right? Like there's a clear upward mobility. Your efforts are rewarded. Yeah, mostly generic. I mean, I'm saying a general thing.
Yeah.
In India, that's not necessary. I mean, your good work may or may not be rewarded.
India, where politics also happens in companies. I don't know if that happens in US. I'm not too sure.
I'm sure it happens. Politics happens everywhere. But you understand that whole idea of capitalism, like America mein, the whole concept capitalist, like pure capitalist, where you are rewarded for innovation, you are rewarded for being better than others. So there is a clear outcome that if you prove yourself to be better, there are multiple opportunities around you. In India, that's not necessary, because there is a lot of relationship based work culture. Where you need not be the best, you need not.
But if you have good rapport with your manager,
you'll manage. So you doing something better than others is not necessarily rewarded. I think all of that plays a role in what we're discussing. The trust factor also. That just if you're saying ki, I'm getting someone new, but I don't trust them. But you'll trust if it's your network ka person, or if someone is coming to you as a reference.
So this is something which Mukesh Ambani had said, on this point only, that in India, if you are to build a business, in India the business gets built on relationships, not on pen and paper. If not on a contract, not on a legal contract, not on an MOU. It builds on word of mouth or your relationship. Today, if I give you my word, tomorrow, let's say if you are my client, you need this by today, and I tell you yes, I will give it to you by today evening. By hook or by crook, I will give it to you by today evening. And if I keep that word, for most of your life, you will continue to do business with me, right? Because zaban ka pakka hai. In US, it's not like that. Wahan pe the relationship or the your commitment or your dialogue. That comes later. First, it's pen and paper. So I think what you said is right. In India, relationship and what you speak, what you commit, and then you deliver, then you are the go-to person for that, for your vendor or for your client.
So there's a lot of history to this, no? There's an Asian way of working. What you're quoting from Mr. Ambani's thing is true for Asia,
Yeah.
not just for India. It's true for China also.
China.
It's China
Okay.
also. It's true for Korea also. It's true for Japan also. It's true for other Asian economies as well. And that has to a lot to do with the culture and the history of that region. And of course, you know, now that we have a lot of MNCs here, a lot of American companies entering here, the work culture is different. You know, some people who want to work in American companies or in that culture will go there. They'll never work for any Indian company because it doesn't match. Like their personal ethics don't match.
Yeah.
Right, that is the case. And in
And it's
US,
changing also. I think there are.
it's changing also in many ways. And in US, of course, you know, there's a certain way that country has become powerful, right? Like people have come from outside, they've found space for themselves, opportunity for themselves. They have been rewarded for that.
Yeah.
So that's how the culture has sort of progressed and gotten established. So I think all of that historical perspective plays a lot of role in such situations. So yeah, I mean briefly on work culture, what I think is different, you know.
In personal life, anything?
Personal life as in?
Difference between these three countries and your personal life?
So I think this is a very generic thing. Honestly, I think in India people love celebrating these, you know, festivals, small moments, those attention to family, you know, on certain days. In China, it's not too much. Like so, there's Chinese New Year. For which you give your entire time. That 1 week goes to the family, but otherwise not so much. In US again, it's mostly Thanksgiving, Christmas, but a very individualistic society otherwise, right? One thing that I really found nice about working in China was that it was very similar, like that whole Asian thing where you have to give time to your family. You know, it's easier to bond with people. थोड़ा सा similarity है cultures में उस तरीके से, you know, how weddings are big. You know, these things with let's say there's a festival there where they honor their ancestors. It's big. So those things where, you know, you give
That value system towards family is
family
very much
and
similar to
ancestors
India.
is there.
Ancestors, yeah.